Café and Networking Podcast promotes entrepreneurs, startups, authors, business experts throughout the world. Available on all major podcast platforms. I'm Tom Reaoch, an American known as the King of Networking, connecting people and speaking from my studio in Vinhedo, São Paulo, Brazil. Today we talk with Jeff Smith, and he's joining us from Stourbridge in England. Jeff Smith is a keynote speaker, #1 author, and international business trainer on KPI and business strategy. He's also known as the KPI guy. Jeff, what are the big 3 mistakes you see in business across the world, and how can we recognize them?
Hey, Tom, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. It's great to be talking with you from across the other side of the pond today. So what are the big 3 big mistakes in business? Well, lots of businesses, I think many are the same. We buy some stuff, we sell some stuff, and in the middle we get people involved.
Right.
You know, so the different products and services we have are just a different mechanism for our exchange. So the core thing of businesses are essentially the same. So I'm privileged to travel the world and talk to lots of different people, some 76 different countries now.
Wow.
So I'm truly privileged. Hundreds of cities and millions of people. But you're right, there are 3 big mistakes in common. Here are the big 3. Number 1, people come on training courses and they say, "Hey, Jeff, what are we going to learn today?" And I said, "What would you like to learn?" And they say, "Something new." And I said, "That's interesting. You know why, Tom? People do not like change." And I give them some new ideas, and they say, "Hey, not that new." So one of the big mistakes in business, and I'll explain how do you recognize it as well. So number 1, inertia. We don't like change. So inertia is, I know I should change, I know I need to change, but I'm not going to.
But I don't want to, right?
I don't want to, and I'm not going to. The 7 most expensive words in business, and this is how you can recognize inertia. The 7 most expensive words in business are, "But we've always done it this way." That is inertia in action. So when you bring a new idea and you ask someone to change and their response is, "But we've always done it this way," that's inertia right there. So I know we should change, but I refuse.
My father's done it this way. He brought the brick making machine in. We're making glass in the city since 1600, and that's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, people don't like change. One of the better ways to come over radical change, if there is people don't like change, is don't address it as change, address it as an upgrade. So that's a nice kind of word to use. That's soft language that works against the inertia.
Right.
Number two is procrastination. Yeah, we should talk about this next time. So procrastination.
That follows inertia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So procrastination means I know I should change, and I will. I'm willing. I will. It's just I've got some other stuff to deal with today. I'll get to it tomorrow.
Or maybe next week.
Yeah, or maybe. And you know, when do they change, Tom? They don't.
They don't. No, when they're out the door and they forget it. Then,
yeah, they forget it. Some other things take precedence. You know, urgent comes in ahead of important, and all of that stuff. It doesn't happen. Number 3, this is the silent killer. This is the tough one that's to recognize. And it's called a new paradigm. So a paradigm is when your belief about the way things work are no longer true.
Right.
So let me give you a real-time example. Just 500 years ago, people used to believe the earth was flat. And I can relate to that. You know, you stand on the beach and you look out to the ocean, you see the horizon, and I could legitimately think, without the aid of knowledge, if I sailed a ship out there, I'd fall off the edge. Right. So I get that. However, later, Galileo comes along, Copernicus comes along, he invents the telescope, all this stuff. And then we have the evidence that the world is not flat, it's spherical. And we have this thing called gravity keeping us on there. So that's a new paradigm. So what we believed to be true is no longer true. So this happens in business. So it's when our circumstances change and we don't change, then we go bust. I'll get some
what you're
real,
saying is true. If we're successful in our company, we're making money, and we just want to stay there and keep making money. But we're not aware of the tendencies, and maybe whatever it is that we make or the service that we offer may not be here Monday morning.
Absolutely. Now, have you heard of a company called Kodak?
Yeah.
So this American company, right? Biggest company in the world who made the best, arguably the best photographic paper and photographic chemicals. The best. Number one. I'm a photographer.
Right.
I cannot remember the last time I printed a photograph.
Right. And
so
most people
world,
today don't even know what that means.
Absolutely. Now, Kodak, with this huge company, they invented the first mass-produced camera, the Kodak Brownie. So Henry Ford created the first mass-produced car. He didn't invent the car. He was the one that brought it to the people. Kodak did the same with the Kodak Brownie. So they brought cameras to the masses, produced the best paper, the best chemicals, and then everything goes online. But then they still continued to develop better printing, better chemicals, but no one bought it anymore, and Kodak goes bust. It was even supported by the US government at one point. They still go bust. So what happened? There's the new paradigm. People used to take photographs with 35 millimeter film and so develop it, print it. That didn't happen anymore. We don't use film anymore. We don't print photographs anymore. So Kodak go bust because they refuse to adapt to the new paradigm, which is digital.
Well, I think we are an example of that, of adapting.
Yeah.
Because we're in a digital age. We're communicating. You're in England. I'm in Brazil. We're having a live conversation that could be heard by millions.
It's incredible when you think about it, isn't it?
And it's all here, and it's something that we've learned to do. Where if someone would have said 3 years ago, right, this is the way it's going to be. You're a teacher, you're a trainer. The pandemic probably restricted your travel somewhat. So we all went through a learning process of getting out into this world digitally. Now people are even out of the world. You said the world's flat. People are going to Mars or going to the moon. So it's a whole different thing. So Jeff,
absolutely.
We're coming to the end of our time, but I want to make sure that I mention one thing I saw on your profile. Because of all that you've done and do talking about business and KPIs, you've also spent a life in charity, in volunteering, and helping others. Is that part of the business mindset? It's not only taking, we need to give back?
Whether it's a business mindset, I don't know. I can only speak for me. I think life is about contribution, which is the reason I wrote books to begin with, actually. Because, actually I failed at maths, I failed at English, and I've written the best-selling book in the world on mathematics. That's quite an incredible story, really. But I didn't do it to make money. I'm blessed that it has, but I did it to give back. But I also do a lot of charity work. I'm a pilot in my spare time. You wouldn't think so with all the flying around the world I do, right? But that's what I do. So I assist the emergency services and people who otherwise could not afford aerial support in their times of difficulty. So we ship medications all over the country, especially through COVID. Life-saving stuff. We save a couple of lives each week. And there's sad events where people commit suicide. They walk into the ocean, and the emergency services, after a few days, give up and they can't find them. So we then continue the search. keep going. And that's to help the families get closure, things like that.
Well,
so
Jeff,
for me,
I think that's the amazing part. You can be the KPI guy, but the way you give back, the way you share, the way I think that should be your name. That should be your title.
I feel blessed. Thank you so much.
You
Tom.
are. We all are, and I'm sure the people that you help are even more blessed. So, thank you for your contribution. I hope to be back talking to you again in the future, and success.
I'm sure we will. Thank you so much, Tom. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. And I'd like to remind our audience you can find more information about Jeff Smith, and it's JEFFSMITH. You can find him on LinkedIn and his site, which is jeff-smith.com. Jeff-Smith, SMITH.com. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil, and more information on their site, which is FOCUSMI.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.